apartment at 16th and Massachusetts Avenue over to a dentist on K Street somewhere. And when I arrived at the dentist's office, they said, okay, come back to this room, and they had me sit in a dentist chair and wait for the dentist to come in. Well, as soon as I sat down in that chair, I was hacking, coughing, just unbelievable. Just chain coughing out of nowhere. It started in that dentist chair, okay? And then after I coughed there for a while, finally the dentist came in and I stopped coughing. Now, I had to go back there for some reason, and when I went back, they took me back to that room. I sat down in that chair, and once again, boom, I'm coughing like I'm going to die of tuberculosis or something. Oh, God, coughing, okay? And it was at that time that not only the coughing, but my nose was starting to run so bad that I started having to take decongestants to stop the running nose. It was just pouring. And I was coughing, and I had this running nose out of nowhere. Okay, I'd never had allergies or problems like that. So it started back there in 1979, 1980. But I've said, when I was a graduate student from 1976 to 1978, every single night I went to that library carrel on the 4th floor of Gelman Library after having dinner in the Student Center. I think it's called the Smith Center. I'm not sure now, but I'd have dinner in the cafeteria there, and then I'd go to my library carrel, and it would be, let's say, 6:30, and I would fall asleep in my chair for half an hour every single night. Now, I had never taken naps ever in my life. Never. And there I was. I had quite a tough schedule at the University of Maryland and no naps. I worked as well as going to the University of Maryland, no naps ever. But now at GW when I'm downtown, right? And GW is not far from K Street. Okay? GW is like at the intersection of Pennsylvania Avenue and whatever the hell the street that is, like 20th Street, I'm not sure. But you go one block over, basically, from Pennsylvania Avenue, and you're on K Street. And K Street was where that dentist's office was. After GW, where I go walking from my room and get in that dentist chair, coughing like hell. Well, that's where it all started. And as I said, at that time, just about every day that I walked to graduate school, if I did need to walk there from my apartment, I'm thinking now that in the mornings I would not have walked by the Russian Embassy, but I might have. You know, in other words, I was working at the National Press Building in the mornings, starting at 8 o'clock. I remember because toward the end there, when I was trying to finish up my thesis, I was mysteriously oversleeping. And I wake up and it's like 10 after 8. I was supposed to start work at 8. Oh my God. I go into work and, well, the folks were understanding and they covered for me. They did. So, you know, I got to say, though, that I could have walked by the Russian Embassy in the morning. Actually, no. When I was living, I lived a block away from 16th and Mass Avenue, at like 15th and Mass Avenue. That's where I lived. So in the morning when I walked to work, I would not have walked by the Russian Embassy. So I'm talking probably weekends and holidays. You know, if the news bureau was closed, no, that wouldn't have happened. They were never closed. So we're talking weekends when I wasn't working, Saturday and Sunday. That's when I walked by the Russian embassy, because it was quickest. I go down 16th Street to K Street and over to GW. And I remember walking by there, how scary it was. I said, ooh, scary place. But I figured, this is America. Let me just walk by. I walked right in front of the sidewalk, right in front of that place, with my briefcase, my black briefcase, that looks exactly like the one that Putin was supposedly carrying poop around in. I see on the news. I'm hit. Now, believe it or not, I'm watched that closely somehow that I do get hit. I call this a non-scientific disease. Okay? The coughs come on point, so to speak, with somebody listening to what I'm saying and watching me, so that the hits come in like thematically. Like the one that hit you in the throat. I'm not going to say your name. The one that hit you in the throat when you were on camera. And you said, here she is with her report. And you went, like that. Oh, excuse me. You got hit in the throat by that weapon. That's what happened. And these folks are unafraid to do things like that, just like they hit some high-ranking person who was walking up a staircase in the old executive office building, which is where? Right next door to the White House. Okay? She's going up those stairs, and she's suddenly becoming so dizzy she can hardly walk. She's about to faint. And she gets a call or a message. I saw this, I think, on the Scott Bailey report. And somebody's saying to her, we're doing this to you, and there's nothing you can do about it. But that's the way these people feel, that they cannot be caught, and they can just terrorize and harass people with this weapon that's real. Now, that's all. So this isn't really what I wanted to talk about in the message. Everything I've said, it isn't. But by now, I don't remember what it was. Let me put this on pause. Here's one of the things I noticed happening on the highway with me, harassment. I made a recording while this was happening, while I was driving yesterday, all the way from Boston back to D.C. and going up to D.C., to Boston from D.C. But my thoughts came together on this harassment on the way back, okay? I've noticed that while I'm driving, and I usually drive in the far right lane, which is supposed to be the slow lane. People who are not going to go fast get in the far right. And there you should be able to drive the speed limit and not be harassed by people behind you, right? You're in the slow lane. People want to pass you. They think you're going too slow. They got two lanes to pass, the middle lane and the far left lane. Nobody should be harassing you in the far right lane, but not when I'm driving, okay? So here's one of the harassments that I noticed yesterday. Talking about symbolic harassments, okay? So I noticed that there would be like a car following me for quite a while. When I'm in the far right lane going speed limit, right? Or a few miles under. Okay, if it's 55, I might be going 52. I'm not consciously trying to pick a number. It's just I'm driving safely and by the speed limit. But that's the way it comes out, okay? Because I'm not using cruise control yet on our new car. So I'm driving in the far right lane, and what did I notice? I noticed these cars behind me would lay back, and then, well, one of the things they do is they start going toward me real close and then dropping back, toward me real close and then dropping back. What's the symbolism in sex? They're going in and they're coming out. They're going in and they're coming out like that, okay? They're doing that, and then they get to their exit, apparently, okay? And they come up real fast behind me and then veer off on their exit. So what's the symbolism? They just got off on me. Okay? After doing that in and out for a while, then they're going to get off. Symbolically, what is that when you're talking sex? They got off. And this kind of disturbing thing happens to me all the time when I'm driving. Symbolic harassments of this kind. This in-out thing was extremely disturbing to me a couple of years ago when I had my trailer and everything, and I was unaware of a lot of what I'm aware of now. And however, it was clear to me that this was symbolic harassment back then. This going to come up close and then drop back. It come up close and then drop back like this. Well, yesterday the words came to me. What are they doing? They're getting off on me. Okay, on my backside there. They're getting off on that backside of my car right there. Okay. Well, this kind of thing is all day long. And it's incredible the number of people that must be involved in this, okay? So I just would like to mention this. I don't remember why I picked up this phone to make a recording now. This often happens to me. Is it because it's unimportant why I pick up the phone? I just need to talk and try to tell as much about what's going on as I can. It doesn't matter where I start or finish. There's a mountain of stuff to talk about, of the abuses that I've been suffering. And just a few minutes after I closed down the recording I was just making, I remembered what I wanted to talk about. I saw on Japanese television that according to the International Criminal Court, murder is considered a crime against humanity. And that is why I believe that man, or more than one person from the Philippines, has been put under arrest by the International Criminal Court, or the court has tried to put these folks under arrest. It's issued warrants for their arrest, at least. And the crime is murder. Now, I asked on my phone, where I'm getting a lot of misinformation, bad directions, and the rest of it, that I asked, could I go to the International Criminal Court on certain issues, which I typed into the phone as an American. And I got back the answer that you would not be able to go to the International Criminal Court. You would need to go to American courts. And I'm not going to any American courts for anything. These courts are corrupt when it comes to me. I wouldn't go to those courts for anything. And that's a guarantee. So this is a false information I got on my phone from online, because I see on Japanese television that murder, and I'm talking about the murder of my uncle, for example, which I say is a travesty of justice, okay, for a lot of reasons. And since American courts did not prosecute that correctly, I'm thinking to myself, if I'm going to go to a court, which I don't think I'll be able to do, even to the International Criminal Court, because I've been called crazy by the American medical establishment. So as far as I know, unless I can bring that court like an absolutely... What do you call this? A foolproof case.
Even northern areas could see
ready for prosecution, where there's no doubts about the guilty parties. Unless I can do that, I can forget about the International Criminal Court. Because they're going to say, but this guy is crazy. We're not going to listen to him, just like everywhere else. So, at least, however, it's good for me to know that murder, for example, is a crime against humanity. I didn't know that until I saw that on Japanese television, and I appreciate having learned that. I appreciate that very much. So it's in my mind as a possibility, although a very remote possibility, that if I did ever get a case together, and I'm trying to at all times, of course, with my very limited abilities here in the United States, I am nowhere free to do the kind of investigation I would want to do. I cannot do that. I have no such rights or freedom here. I'm very much frightened everywhere I go and unable to do what Americans are supposed to be able to do. I have no rights at all. I'm like that character in Streetcar Named Desire. Blanche Dubois says what? She has depended on the kindness of strangers to get through life. Okay? Well, when you consider basically, as long as people don't know that, that's what you're doing. You're depending on the kindness of strangers. But you want to be an investigative reporter, you better have some credentials. And I don't have any, so I'm going to investigate and make headway on finding the proofs I need for lots of things I'm saying. I'm going to do nothing of the kind while in the United States, so that's why I've been saying, as long as I'm in the United States, I'm going to do nothing of any importance whatsoever except make videos. And as I said over and over, I look at my phone and the phone says 0 views. So is anybody seeing these videos? Not according to my phone. No. Nevertheless, I'm going to go on and make them. That's all from me for now. Bye for now.
But other areas will see cooler temperatures. Osaka have been seeing highs above 35 degrees for 16 days in a row. Still cooling down a little bit, but it's going to be 33 degrees on Thursday, and then 32 in Fukuoka, and Niigata at 32 degrees. Now, the heat stress index still at danger level, so be careful of heat stroke. Rain is falling heavily across the Sea of Japan side. We've got about 180 millimeters of rain in just 24 hours. That's the August record in Niigata in this spot. We have some video coming up. Rain is expected to expand across many places, including Kyushu as we go into Thursday, and the heaviest rain will likely fall in the mid part of the Japan, including Hokuriku and Tohoku. Nearly 200 millimeters of rain is likely, but that will cool temperatures a bit. Across North America, heavy rain is pounding the southeastern portions of the United States. And then across the opposite side of the United States, it's dry, and we could be seeing some dry thunderstorms that could ignite more wildfires in the Four Corners region. And temperatures are going to be 47 in Phoenix on Wednesday, and it's going to be hot in Houston and muggy out there. That's it for me. Have a nice day.